This is only a test.
What?
Oh shit! What's happening?
SveNFL is here, man. We got
Is
an
everything
emergency.
okay?
We got an emergency going on, Skip. An
Really?
emergency is going on right now. Oh my god. Oh my god. We have a minor emergency in the NFL. We had to come to you with the emergency broadcast system. This is the actual emergency broadcast system test in America.
When did they? Can you remind me? When did they used to do that? I grew up with this, but when did they?
This is a test of the emergency broadcasting system.
But they would just do it periodically on TV, right?
In voluntary cooperation with federal, state, and
randomly.
local authorities.
Yeah.
Have developed this system.
Don't they have different sounds, right?
In the event of an emergency.
Yeah.
If this had
It's
been
like,
an actual emergency,
sound like the modem.
you've just heard would have been followed by official information, news,
Bing, bing,
or
bing.
instructions. This station serves the Northeast Illinois area. This concludes this
Northeast
test
Illinois,
of the
let's go.
emergency broadcast system.
I don't know. I was thinking about that and some other stuff.
Did you grow up with the it's 10 o'clock, do you know where your children are? Did you grow up with that?
I remember that. that.
I grew up with that, especially in Atlanta, because I grew up during the Atlanta child murders, and they would play every night at 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Oof. I watched a documentary about that dude, man.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But clearly this is not a major emergency because we haven't even said why we have decided to drop an extra podcast. You said it already. It's a minor emergency, and it's related to Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson has been benched for Jarrett Stidham.
Yes.
So the reason why this warrants a bit of an emergency podcast is because this is a bigger kind of atom bomb being dropped here than just Russell Wilson getting benched for Jarrett Stidham. Now, obviously,
wait, did you see his first press conference?
Who?
Russell Wilson spoke about it. Here's what he said.
Yeah, play it.
You catch a nigga off guard with this shit.
Russell Wilson has probably never sounded that black in his whole life.
No, but this I had to be silly. But
no, but that's good. So there's a lot to unpack here. Ironically, Raiders fans, you already know this scenario because it happened to you last year with Derek Carr. So essentially what's happened is that Russell Wilson was benched in order to prevent paying him guaranteed money in the event that he gets injured in his last two games. Now, what's so significant about that is that it clearly indicates that the Broncos are ready to part ways with Russell Wilson.
No. It's not that they're ready to part ways. We talked about this too. Not that they're ready to part ways. It's that either they restructure this big ass contract or they're ready to part ways.
Well, I believe that has the attempt to restructure his deal.
They did that. They tried, it didn't work.
I think it's already taken place.
And he's like, no, and knowing him, the little bit I know about him, I knew from the gate that dude's not restructuring.
No,
he's he talks in the third person.
That's true.
He says we when he's speaking about himself as well. So that's like the fifth person or some shit.
Yeah.
The first group.
Yeah. There are layers of persons involved in the Russell Wilson conversation. That being said, in defense of Russell Wilson, I will say this, and I'll say it in defense of Derek Carr last year and any other player who has an injury clause in their contract. Now, when you look at it from their perspective, this is really fucked up, right?
Yes,
they've got it. So, they've got an injury clause in their contract that's supposed to cover them in the event that something bad happens to them. They go out there, they put their body on the line every Sunday. So, yeah, they deserve that. Now, essentially, the reporting that we're hearing coming out of The Athletic and some other places is that they went to Russell Wilson way back in October and asked him to restructure this injury clause thing.
That's them to restructure.
Asked all multiple Russell Wilsons to consider restructuring. Yeah, the full matrix of Russell Wilsons were gathered, and he said no. So essentially, what they're saying. They went to him and asked him to restructure this. He says no, and they came back to him essentially with a gun to his head saying, if you don't restructure this, we are going to bench you. So it's like, it's just kind of fucked, in my opinion. Anyway.
And they're going to bench him. Nice benched.
Yeah, exactly. But the weird thing is that, so they're benching him so he doesn't get hurt.
Right,
but they're not doing what the Raiders did, which is essentially when the Raiders did this last year. Derek Carr was dropped all the way to third string quarterback. He wasn't even in the building. Right now, Russell Wilson is technically the backup, right? So you only have one layer of protection. In the year of the backup, where quarterbacks are dropping like flies all over the place, there's still a chance that Russell Wilson can get hurt if you decide to go into this weekend with him as your number 2 quarterback. So
you know who the team doctor is?
Oh, God. Is it Tyrod Taylor's doctor?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Every now and then we get a huge reminder that this is a business, and this is one.
Absolutely. So I thought it would be interesting to walk through this a little bit and have a conversation about, essentially how we got here, what this really means, and where does everyone go from here. As far as how we got here, I think it's important to remember that the Broncos paid a pretty hefty price to get Russell Wilson, including 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, just to get him in the building, right, from the Seahawks. This is back in March.
Because he's it's the type of guy he is, man. That team around him makes sure he gets top dollar.
And then once they got him in the building, they signed him like he wanted an extension beyond the current Seahawks contract that he was playing on. So they gave him a 5-year, $245 million extension before the 2022 season even started. Okay. So in 2022, with Wilson as the quarterback under Nate Hackett, of course, the Broncos went 5-12. We all remember that. It was very funny. In 2023, with Sean Payton in charge, the record is obviously better, and Russ has played much better this year. But arguably 2022 provided us with a pretty low bar. The facts are that according to ESPN, the Broncos ranked 16th in scoring this year, 20th in third downs, 22nd in the red zone, 25th in passing, and 31st in goal-to-go situations. And we also heard a lot of complaining out of Sean Payton throughout the entire season about how he was having to shorten the rip pages out of the playbook because Russ couldn't understand. Like, there was a lot of undercutting throughout the season. I think we've known for a long time that Sean Payton and Russell Wilson was not going to work out.
But it's been working out.
And it has been working out. It has been working out on the field. Yeah, it has. And the other weird wrinkle to this is that technically the Broncos have, a fairly significant statistical chance of still making the playoffs. So I don't remember. I don't know what the actual percentage chance is, but it's not like, we're not talking about the Bears. I think the Bears have they still have a 1% chance of making the playoffs. It's if things fall right and the Broncos went out, they can still make it.
Maybe they don't trust Team Russ. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't trust them to just not go out there and oops, my back.
I think really what's happening here is that Sean Payton is kind of a no nonsense guy. I think he took this job despite the fact that Russell Wilson was his quarterback. And I think he's probably been plotting since the moment he got in the building, how the fuck did we get rid of this guy?
Wasn't his contract like a lot of it guaranteed or something like that, or no?
Yeah, that brings me to the next part of this conversation, which is what does this all mean exactly? Okay. First and foremost, Sean Payton attempted to paint this as a football related move.
Come on, bro.
This is not a football related move. This is about money. Okay.
Like, I don't like that dude, man. How you feel? What's your vibes on that guy? I don't like him.
I'm a Falcons fan, and he's primarily for me as a Saints coach. So yeah, no, never liked him.
Okay.
And then obviously with the Bounty Gate thing, then my kind of rivalry hatred became just that much more validated when that thing came out. And also I just don't like the way he treats people. He's kind of like we just saw this last week. He's on the sidelines yelling at Russell Wilson like he's a 6-year-old who fucking who did something stupid at school. It's like I just think, I don't know, he's old school like that, and I just feel like we're kind of moving beyond that kind of.
It's evidenced by these new coaches, man.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing: the reason why they're cutting him is because if he gets injured, they owe him $37 million guaranteed.
Straight cash, homie.
For next year. So that's the reason why they're putting him on the bench.
Well,
that would kick in automatically if he's not able to pass a physical at the beginning of the league year. So that's assuming he got a significant injury in these last 2 games.
Tell him to bring me my money.
So again, as I said, this implies that when the season is over, they'll be announcing at some point that Russell Wilson and Denver Broncos are going in separate directions. Here's basically, no matter how you slice it, this will result in the largest dead cap money hit in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
Okay. If Denver releases Russell Wilson before March 17th, they will be on the hook in 2024 for $85 million in dead cap money. Okay.
Damn.
Now they can eat it all in 1 year and just suck. I don't know what they're going to do, but they can also, if they decide to cut him post June 1, then they can spread it out. It could be 35.4 million in 2024 and then 49.6 dead money in 2025. Either way you cut it, it's still $85 million dead cap hit. There's no getting out of that.
Maybe they'll try to find somebody to take some of that off. Nah, that dead cap is dead cap.
That has nothing to do, and they already have some guaranteed salary money that they have to pay him for next year. That they can play around with and hope that somebody else will take it. But at this point, and we'll get to that conversation in a minute, who's going to do that? Either way you slice it, it's $85 million. This is very similar to what happened to the Falcons 2 years ago with Matt Ryan. The reason why we had Marcus Mariota as our quarterback is because we decided to eat the full 40 to 45 in 1 year. So it's a 40 to 45 million cap hit for the Falcons that year. This is twice that amount.
God damn. I don't know what you do, man. Because they got the coach. It's almost like you know they want Sean Payton, so maybe just eat that for a year. I mean, he's made lemonade out of the current. I mean, and the roster not really lemons, but. Well,
okay, so that brings me to the probably the more interesting part of this conversation, which is where does everyone go from here? I would let's start with Russell Wilson because that's the easier one to figure out to me.
Okay.
Exactly what is the market for Russell Wilson? Honestly, I feel like I'll ask you because I'm not going to lie. I feel like the last 2 years in Denver have been so damaging to his brand that I can't think of a single team that is going to dump a bag of money at the feet of Russell Wilson to be their starting quarterback.
Let's close that all the way.
And I cannot.
I think. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to look at all the teams. I was pulling it up now. That's not a good sign. The first team that came to mind, but they're going to have their quarterback back. It's these teams that just are good and don't have a quarterback. Like, I think he's an upgrade over Deshaun Watson. on a team, but that's a problem. They already got a crazy salary situation to deal with when that dude is not looking good, and they might have to deal with more of that. I mean, it's not like Wilson's going to come cheap, so you got to have somebody who doesn't have a quarterback and is like a quarterback away. You know what I mean? I think of maybe the Colts, but they got Quentin Richardson.
So I looked
what's
at
the
all
quarterback name?
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. I said Quentin Richardson.
I looked at all 32 teams, and in my mind, the teams that need a quarterback, I would say Patriots, Steelers,
Yeah.
Raiders,
Ooh,
Giants,
Patriots.
Commanders, Saints, Falcons. Those are the teams that need quarterbacks.
That's
That
good.
being said,
Bears.
Patriots, Bears, maybe. But the Bears, I didn't put the Bears on my list because the Bears have the
They're
number
gonna
one
get a
pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Patriots will also have a high draft pick, so that doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. And if Sean Payton hates Russell Wilson, how do you think? Well, Bill Belichick might not be there, actually. I didn't think about that. There's a fairly good chance. Actually, you know what? I did not think about that when I wrote the Patriots down. Maybe.
I got
Raiders.
I got
Go
it.
ahead.
Russell Wilson with Eric Bieniemy in Washington.
Sure.
That's the one. Sam Howell, just ride it out. Get in a Aaron Rodgers type situation where you ride the bench for a couple years, learn the system and all of that.
Yeah.
Eric Bieniemy's what is that? The air raid or whatever they do. Their version of air raid.
Sure. Yeah. The Commanders are the only one that makes sense to me on this list that I have because, in my
I didn't
opinion,
hear you say Commanders.
Yeah, for me, the Raiders, the Saints, and the Falcons fall into the same category for me as franchises who have been trying to dick around at the quarterback position for the last couple of years, and their fan bases are not going to have that. They will revolt. It's certainly the Saints are ready to burn Derek Carr at the stake. Can you imagine if they brought in Russell Wilson? They would go nuts. Raiders too. They tried this thing with Jimmy G. That didn't work. They're going to do that again? No. Falcons have, tried to do Mariota and then fucking, Desmond Ritter. Falcons fans are not going to stand for that either. Although there aren't that many Falcons fans, so maybe you could slip it by them and it won't matter. Nobody shows up to the game.
Panthers fans might be okay with him going there and letting Bryce Young kind of
maybe. Yeah, sure. I didn't think about that.
Learn a little bit.
The other possibility here, which would be kind of sad, does this turn into a Cam Newton type situation?
Yes.
Where it's just like, poof, you're gone. Nobody likes you.
Not even nobody likes you. It's like the thing you did that made you that special player, it evaporated so quickly that you can't fall back on some standard skill set.
Right.
That can get you to Joe Flacco the end of your career.
Sure.
Or Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know what I mean? You can't do that type of stuff like those guys. Even Jacoby Brissett. You can't do what these guys do because they can get dropped into a system, stand in the pocket, these pocket passers. But if you're not really a pocket passer, you're 5'11". You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to need to move the pocket, and every offense ain't built for that shit, man. We're going to build an offense for end of the road guy who's got too big of an ego to be a backup. That was Cam Newton's thing.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, some of these guys aren't made to be backups, man.
That's a good point.
Aaron Rodgers, hey, Aaron, can you come in if we need something? Hell no.
Let's move on to the Broncos part of this conversation. Option one for them. Now, obviously, this is with this $85 million dead cap hanging over their head. Option one to me is that next year you just roll with Jared Stidham. You draft a second, third, fourth round quarterback. He's under contract already, Jared Stidham, for next year, $5 million. He's already been with the team. He knows the system. Problem with that is that if you do that, you're basically telling your fan base, go kick rocks. Come back in 2025. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
But it might be the only thing you can do.
Nah, there's a whole offseason. They could fuck around and figure out a quarterback, upgrade over Trevor Siemian.
You mean over Jared Stidham?
Jared Stidham. I don't know why it's Trevor. Oh, I'm thinking of Sean Payton's quarterbacks before.
He has had quite a few.
I think once these new rookies come in and the quarterback carousel begins, that's going to inevitably happen. Quarterbacks are going to get healthy again. All of these Josh Dobbs and all of these guys, these Gardner Minshew's, Zach Wilson with Sean Payton, huh? No, just kidding.
That's an interesting. I mean, the situation is this: is that with that $85 million cap hit, either whether they split it up and spread it out over 2 years or take it right in the face in 1 year, they're basically going to be out there thrift store shopping for a quarterback. Mm-hmm. They're going to have multiple backup level quarterbacks in the building for next year.
But one thing we've learned from the Cleveland Browns, shout out to Kevin Stefanski, it can be done.
It can be done.
And they got a good defense now. That defense got it together under Vance Joseph. It finally got their shit implemented. They're holding teams okay. They look good. They're not losing games for the team. They can get, and then arguably, Sean Payton's done a great job reeling Russ in a bit and getting him to play within that system, which people thought was going to be a challenge. So he could probably do it with somebody else.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
I'm not that worried about the Broncos. The fans shouldn't be stressed that much. I think the thing that we can it just highlights it's a business, and the players get it up the butt all the time, man. We saw it when what's his name? Jawan. What's his name? The tackle that got hurt and lost his guaranteed contract. Jawan James.
Yeah. Fuck, that sucked. That was a bummer.
Broncos again.
Yeah, exactly.
So we know they're a cutthroat ass organization. Their stock is going down for me. Like fuck y'all as a team.
Sure. Just for the sake of the conversation, I don't know if they'll be able to afford this, but I think it bears noting that there are several notable free agents at the quarterback position who will be available in the year 2024.
Okay.
Quarterbacks such as Kirk Cousins, who they're not going to be able to afford.
I was going to say him but I didn't know that
they won't be able to. They won't be able to pay him. I don't think.
Yeah, his first guaranteed contract ever. That ain't happening.
Ryan Tannehill.
Now, if you want some frustration as Broncos fans, take on a little Ryan Tannehill in your life.
Yeah. I'm hearing rumors that Arthur Smith is going to try to save his job next year by getting Ryan Tannehill in the building for the Falcons. Amen. I'm like, shoot me in the face. Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor. Okay. Go ahead and hit the button.
Oh, this button?
No. Marcus Mariota is also
that.
Marcus Mariota?
Ain't no fucking way. Sean Payton's going to do
that. Also available is Sam Darnold.
Okay, that could be it.
Possibly reuniting with Jameis Winston.
I don't know, man. I think that might be the best quarterback option. Mm-hmm. The highest ceiling.
I mean, he's already worked with him.
Yeah, he's worked with him. He knows the system. He's very, very annoying, but he's got the highest ceiling, man. If he couldn't get Jameis Winston to not throw interceptions, then I don't think he's going to get it now.
The other quarterbacks available, Baker Mayfield, who I assume is going to be offered a deal by the Bucs, so I would scratch him off the list. Gardner Minshew, Joshua Dobbs.
Hold up.
Yeah?
Hold up. I didn't know Baker Mayfield was a possibility. If that means Tampa is going to be without a quarterback, Russell Wilson in Tampa does not sound bad.
I agree. But the prevailing wisdom is that Baker Mayfield, who most people have forgotten, is playing on a $4 million prove-it contract this year.
Oh, you think he proved it?
I think he proved it. I think he's been the best quarterback in that division, and I think the Bucs would be stupid not to offer him, bare minimum, a 2-3 year deal, right?
Yeah.
If for nothing other than, like, let's offer him a 2 or 3 year deal so that we can stay relevant and he'll be our bridge quarterback until we can find our quarterback of the future. If the Bucs don't do that, they're idiots.
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew's available. Joshua Dobbs is available. Easton Stick, Mason Rudolph, and Jake Browning. Those are the sort of current list of free agent quarterbacks to be.
Oof. Feels like Tannehill might be actually, that might be highest. Tannehill or Jameis Winston is your cream of the crop. Or you draft and get something good in the draft.
The draft is going to be a crapshoot, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. But you get something in the draft and you have Tannehill on there on your roster to kind of set it up for like you did for Will Levis.
I mean,
Tannehill's the one that's going to stay out of the way. He's not going to give you trouble. He's not going to be saying, I need to start. He's not going to be getting in the way of the other quarterback and doing little shady shit. He'll be somebody that'll play ball and be like a company man.
The other side of this that we're not talking about is that for the next 2 games, Jarrett Stidham is essentially auditioning for next year. If he can show over a 2-game stretch that he can, I don't even think he necessarily needs to win games, but I think if he can show that he can run Sean Payton's offense, then maybe he gets a job. Or maybe he gets a job in tandem with one of these free agents or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very interesting to see. But
where's Garoppolo?
Garoppolo's still with the Raiders technically, but he's injured. He's done for the year.
Okay. I thought about him the other day. Like, I haven't heard about Jimmy G, man.
As far as I'm concerned,
okay.
Jimmy G is just going to slide gracefully out of the league, I think, at this point. Maybe he gets a backup job somewhere. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I can say this. I think it would be rough to be a Broncos fan right now. I don't know. It's been a weird, I mean, since they won the Super Bowl, it's been mostly bad for them. I mean, they have not managed to find a decent, serviceable quarterback.
Since they dragged one to a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, exactly.
Since they dragged limp arm Manning all the way to the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
When he couldn't throw the ball 20 yards anymore. And they still fucking were so good that they took out the aforementioned Cam Newton. Who is foreshadowed what we're seeing now in Russell Wilson's career.
Well, apparently, according to Russell Wilson, the only response that he's had so far officially is from his Twitter account where he tweeted,
You catch a nigga off guard with this shit.
Exactly. He said something similar. He said, God's got me.
Oh, Lord.
I'll be good. And then he said that other thing that you just said.
You catch a nigga off guard with this shit.
I'm here to double down. That shit is a 2-pack of ass.
Hey, what you doing out here with all this ass?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Russ, but something about him is annoying anyway. He's going to figure it out. He's got his team together. He's probably so like happy and Christian about the whole thing that it's annoying as fuck. I'm sure Sean Payton's like, shut the fuck up. Get this guy out of my locker room.
At the end of the day, I think Russell Wilson is going to walk away from the game at some point with a bag of money.
Yeah.
A Super Bowl ring. And he will likely make it into the Hall of Fame because of that Super Bowl.
And a good career.
And he had a great career.
You know, for 3 years, I rewatched that comeback they had over the Packers. When they scored, like they weren't even supposed to. It might have been a wild card game. I don't remember. Or it got them to the championship game. I forget. But one year, around 2013-ish, around there, when they had to get, I want to say 2 onside kicks. Some crazy shit, man. That I watched that game for the next 3 years. I'll never forget that. Russ was throwing that thing down the field. They converted an onside where the guy tried to catch it. I forget the white guy. You know those white receivers that play black, so everybody loves them. The Packers had one. What's that? You know what I'm talking about now when I say that shit, man.
I do, but I can't remember.
He was like a slot receiver, man. I forget, but he touched the ball and then they got it. He's a receiver too. He just fucking they picked it up and then what a game. Everybody go back and watch that Packers versus Seahawks. The final like 3 minutes or something like that, where they came back and ended up going to the Super Bowl. But that Russ was so exciting. He was the best player in football back then.
He really was. For a nice stretch there, he was one of the most exciting players in football, 100%.
Yeah, so he
now,
don't have nothing to hang his head about. Your shit, we knew you were 5'11", and that sucks when you can't run anymore like you used to.
And now, oddly enough, the most exciting player in football. We might as well.
One thing, Skip. I'm sorry, man. I keep cutting you off. I'm so sorry. I typed in Google Packers white receiver,
and it came up, didn't it?
Jordy Nelson, bro.
Yeah. I love that. That's all you had to type in.
Jordy Nelson, that's what did it.
Like it's the only white receiver they ever had.
I know, right? Even though I can't name another one right now.
That is really funny.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? My bad.
Well, I was trying to smoothly transition into the current most exciting player in football. We might as well talk about this Thursday night game while we're here.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Bro, I watched it. I watched the 40-minute joint. Wow. It comes down to a guy. I remember when we played them and the Dolphins were on a roll, and it was the Jets, though. Dolphins were on a roll, and they kept doing this amoeba shit. This is back when under Brian Flores, and the amoeba was confusing everybody, and Joe Flacco scared the shit out of us. We won the game, but nothing surprised him. He was like, "Get the fuck out of here, bro." And that's what it felt like watching this game. This dude has seen everything, and he's always been a gunslinger. And they used to say he's trying to get a defensive pass interference by just throwing it deep, and they got him all the way to a Super Bowl championship. But I love how he plays, and he's going to give you some opportunities to beat him too.
I mean, Joe Flacco, who was on the Jets roster and cut after the 2022 season.
Yeah.
And most certainly would have made a serviceable backup to Aaron Rodgers post-Achilles injury, walked out onto the field on a cold, dark Cleveland Thursday night, and he set the Jets on fire. And he did so in part thanks to a little help from 2 more former Jets in Elijah Moore and Jerome Ford. I mean,
Moore got hurt, unfortunately, but yeah,
letting a gaggle of your own former players roll into the game and slap you around like that just reeks of organizational incompetence, in my opinion.
It happens to them every year, man. They keep doing this shit. Over. That's just their thing, man.
And they lose this game convincingly, despite winning both the time of possession and the turnover battle, while also gaining roughly the same amount of total yards as the other team, mostly because the Jets had 12 penalties in this game. 12 penalties of nearly 80 total lost yards. Shit like illegal formations. 12 men in the huddle. Bush League type shit. I mean, it's just pathetic. And then
it reflects on the coach, bro.
You know, there was no Amari Cooper in the game this week. He was sort of suffering from I think they just ran the wheels off of Amari Cooper last week when he had like 200 something yards.
He suffered from they said his injury report says excessive yardage.
Exactly, excessive yardage. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because Joe Flacco also has this crazy connection with David Njoku, who had 134 yards receiving on 6 receptions in this game. From the U, let's go.
Yes, let's go.
But Jerome Ford was quite the star in this game as well. He had 12 carries for 64 yards, and then he had 2 catches for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it has to be said, but the Jets' inability to tackle in this game was terrible.
You are trash!
Like the number of times, I think the number of times that they had a guy dead to rights and he managed to break the tackle, it's like, what are you doing here? The only person on the Jets side of the football that deserves any kind of praise whatsoever is Breece Hall, who played his ass off. He had 84 yards rushing, and he also had 42 yards receiving and a touchdown. This guy, he was doing everything because nobody else was doing shit. Trevor Siemian was dreadful. Both quarterbacks threw pick sixes in this game, so those kind of washed each other out. But yeah, this was
There's a lot of bad football from what I watch.
And it's funny, like almost all of the points were scored in the first half.
Yeah.
The score was like, what was it, like 34-17?
It was 30 something. Yeah, because it reminded me of the Dolphins Jets game when it was 27-0.
Yeah.
Or 24-0 at the half. It's like you give up this many points in the first half, and then second half these teams just cruise, and the Jets looks so bad. And they kept going for it on fourth down at bad times. Then at the end, they had to go for it on fourth down. They got a field goal blocked when they were going to cut it to a 2-score game.
That's true.
It was just like,
and also one of their
Saleh, man. I feel bad for Saleh. They've already guaranteed his job that he's going to play coach next year. It's looking like they need to. It's one of those teams that like it might be a Panthers type of situation, which is worst case scenario for Jets fans. But if they got a toxic interior in the front office, then it's never going to get better. And one indication of that is the fact that they have Aaron Rodgers on the active roster, and he's already said he's not going to play. What kind of signal does that send to the entire organization? Is that you're not a serious people, man?
You are not serious people.
What the fuck are they doing, bro?
It's very interesting, and they weren't even really able to capitalize off of their good fortune in this game either. Like one of the turnovers. Well, they did, but I'm saying like one of the Jets' turnovers was on a muffed punt, which the Browns recovered in the red zone. Yeah. And they failed to put any points on the board because they turned the ball over on downs. So it's like this score could have been even worse. So even when the defense is out there giving you a chance to win the game, you still just can't manage to win it. And to me, again, this is like, I mean, you're literally playing in the game against what used to be your backup quarterback. And the guy is just the past 4 to 5 games. I mean, he's averaging over 300 yards passing, Joe Flacco. It's like, it's absurd. Like,
how many times this year have we seen people that would have helped the Jets at least be in the playoff hunt?
Yeah.
These backups, and they just keep trotting out bullshit. And it's like, so what if it's not Aaron Rodgers? It could have been insert backup star here. You know what I mean? So many times, man. They just look bad. And it's not even one of those fire the coach and because of the roster's good. It's like, what are they? It's really bad.
I really wonder, and we'll never know this, but I really wonder how much behind the scenes, how much of their decision to not bring in a backup has to do with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I wonder that too, because he seems like he has the team by the balls, man. They're talking about how many former Packers are on there. I could hear Kirk Herbstreit, who gets amazingly happy whenever somebody's like really new in their career.
Right.
So you could talk about their college days. That's so fucking great. He's a rookie,
really
but
well.
he did a great.
He played really well for TCU.
You should have seen him at East Carolina, man. He was a great tackle at East Carolina. It's like, well, man, shut up, Kirk. And Al Michaels just going through the motions because he's already let go and shit.
Yeah, he's like, great, college.
Yeah. Why? Like it's the last time I'm gonna do this job, and it's with this guy.
It's like the last time I was in college, you were still allowed to hit women.
That's R.I.P. Sean Connery. Oh man.
But
that's our thing, man. I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, we can totally wrap it up. But I just have to say the Browns, without Deshaun Watson, are suddenly fun again.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is what I was. I remember when Baker Mayfield was trying to bring the Browns back from the dead, and he had that one year where they actually won a playoff game, and it was like, this
almost beat the Chiefs. Almost beat the Chiefs. Remember that?
Yeah. This is a fun team to root for. If they just got rid of Deshaun Watson, I could totally jump back on their fun little orange colored bandwagon.
He's a habitual line stepper.
Can't do it.
Come on out, you rapist!
Wow. I never heard that at the end before. Wow.
I love it.
Wow. Wow.
Come on out, you rapist!
Wow. That's pretty good.
Oh, I'm having too much fun on the soundboard, man. Yeah. It was a fun game though. It's hard not to root for the Browns. I really hope Stefanski gets Coach of the Year. I wouldn't mind Shane Steichen getting it. And it'd be fun if Joe Flacco got nominated for Comeback Player of the Year.
I know
Player of the Year.
I mean, it's kind of a small sample size, so maybe it doesn't get it, but I feel like
Come back from the dead Player of the Year.
I feel like he should get some MVP votes with the way he's playing right now. It's crazy.
It's fun. No, man. He threw a pick 6, man. Pump the brakes, Skip. Oh man. All right. Well, thank y'all for checking it out. We won't get out of here on a emergency broadcast note. We'll get out of here on a normal note. But we really appreciate everybody checking us out, taking a little time. And we'll be back soon, man. We're gonna talk about all the games. There's Saturday games, don't forget that. And Sunday games, Monday game, all that shit. And we'll be back to talk about all of it. It has been Jonathan Rollins.
Skip Vizara.
With SveNFL. Peace.
Let me out.